Hi everyone, it's me, Leslie Plazz, also known as Zazoo Plazz, May 20th, 2020. Wow, that's a lot of 20s. So I'm back. It's looking a little dark, so we have to bring in some light. How's that? That's better, huh? Okay, now we're good. Speaking our truth. It's Gemini season. So, I want to talk about a character in the book who's probably going to be showing up from time to time. She was central in my childhood, and I call her in the book Auntie Ruth MacGreyhouse. Ruth MacGreyhouse, or Auntie Ruth. So when I was growing up, she lived across the street in a gray house. We lived in a greenhouse. She was in the ranch across the street. And her living room afforded her a bird's eye view of my parents' living room, such that some nights she would sit in her living room and train her binoculars on my parents' dinner parties. My parents, who had in 1963 recently moved into their brand new colonial. Auntie Ruth had been there for a while, and actually her husband, who I used to call Poppy, he fought in like World War I and World War II, and he was a bit older, so he passed away when I was still little. So I have many adventures of my mom taking Auntie Ruth places. We used to take her shopping, to vote, things like that. And I have memories of her during some big blizzards that we had when I was a kid, and times when the power went out, and Auntie Ruth was the source of many funny stories. So she's going to be showing up from time to time. You can look forward to that. I want to read a little bit. So I say, one evening, Mom caught sight of Auntie Ruth ensconced in her parlor, training her binoculars on their first dinner party. The next day and thereafter, there were white sheers and curtains on every inch of window facing the street. They may have protected themselves from external surveillance, but my folks were still subject to constant scrutiny from me. I have boatloads of stories from my childhood simply because my parents were just living their lives, probably not aware that I was recording everything they said and did in my little brain. That was my notes. I used to hang out in the stairway on the upper landing and eavesdrop on my parents, talking in the kitchen, because I never wanted to miss anything. And I didn't. And most of what I heard went down into my diaries. I was a voracious reader and writer. I spent hours, kind of like this, talking to myself, writing things down, talking to my dolls. Being an only child, there's nobody to talk to. I talk to my dolls, I line them up, do stand up in my bedroom. Got all my Barbies, pay attention. My Humpty Dumpty, my Raggedy Ann, set everybody up. Figured someday I'll have a real audience. And I kind of do, but, still hoping for more response. So if you like these little videos, leave me a note. Give me a like, whatever. Comments, much appreciated. So what I want to talk about today was the, how my mom put the curtains up, right? She put, in those days they had like white shears, and then she put these heavy gold drapes that were like on little rings. So at night she'd close them and go shh. In the morning open shh. Right? Big heavy drapes. Everything was like a burnished gold color back in those days. Brown, green, orange, right? Gold, amber. But those colors were comforting to me because I was a fall baby, so, you know. But it seemed to me that my parents spent a lot of time reinforcing the exterior because they were Pluto and Cancer generation, like a crab, right? They had that big shell. So, God forbid, the neighbors would see inside. They'd be vulnerable. Somebody knows, what we do. I didn't share their, obviously, I didn't share their concerns because I wrote all these stories and published them in my book. That's why I was expecting a much different reaction, but it was very pleasant, really. Reviews of the book from my family have been overwhelmingly positive. For that I am grateful. But anyway, so they spent a lot of time on the exterior. They made a beautiful home for me to grow up in. My dad was always out there washing the car. Washing the car every weekend. Mowing the lawn. I clean when it's necessary, but I didn't share their enthusiasm for constant household maintenance. I'd rather spend my time thinking, absorbing information, and getting to know things about people. Like I'd be the Auntie Ruth with the binoculars, looking out through the window. That'd be me. Because, I work at night. This whole book was written in my dining room where I have half curtains. And so people can see right in. But since it's nighttime, everybody's asleep or whatever. So I kind of would imagine, that people were watching me. Because I always loved an audience. So that stuff didn't bother me. I cared more about what was going on inside. Inside the house, inside my mind. Peace, right? Inner peace was what I always wanted. That is the most valuable thing to me in the whole world, is peace. Because if you have peace of mind, you can weather any storm. It's your center, right? And to the extent you preserve that, through talking to God, spirits, guides, they'll help you find that place inside that doesn't change, right? That port in a storm. It's like when you put your valuables in one of those fireproof boxes. You put your birth certificate and all that stuff in there in case there's a fire, and everything will be safe. You can open that thing up and all your precious documents will be preserved. So they say. Hope that, that doesn't happen. But it's kind of the same thing. No matter what goes on, you got your fireproof safe in there. Your little flame, your little light that's always glowing, always bright. You have to keep that alive. Have access to it easily, Even if you got curtains on the outside, it's really important. That's my thought for the day. So even if you had to lock your door, Go in your bedroom and talk to your tablet every day. Do what you gotta do. Do what you have to do. Speak your truth. Like Fonzie, right? See you next time. Zazoo, out.